Let's talk about it. Blue Jays pick up a big win in Game 4. Oh, how do you not love it? How do you not love it? The Toronto Blue Jays are right back in the World Series. And look, I said it on the podcast this morning. I was a little worried it was done. Right? I just it is a really difficult thing to go 18 innings and use literally every reliever that you have and every position player that you have and still come up short, and to be able to bounce back after that and still be able to put forth a performance like this. Man, oh man. Like, we talk about how these are the comeback kids and everything, but that's a lot. And so, like, just there are so many times we've seen it in the regular season where the Blue Jays will lose or win even a really long game like that, but then it affects them for 2, 3, 4 games down the line. That obviously didn't happen here. And I said in the podcast this morning, Toronto needed to get off to a good start in this game to kind of put the sins of the past behind them. And it looked like they might. The first 2 batters of the game, no George Springer. We talked about it on the show this morning. Toxic, a late PK stream. And look, you had asked Toxic, who's messaging in the Twitch chat, about what do you do if Springer's not in the lineup. Well, he wasn't. We had said maybe Nathan Lucas, and nailed it. But Lucas was good as the leadoff guy tonight. He went 2 for 3 before he gets lifted for pinch hitter extraordinaire Ty France. And I thought he was pretty good, but a little bit of a shaky start because he goes down quick. Another one that bugged me a little bit, but we're not gonna harp on it because the Blue Jays won. And then Vladdy goes out, and all of a sudden there's 2 out, and we're 7 pitches in, and it's Ohtani. It's like, oh, here we go. But then Bo, really important walk, I thought, because if he, batting third tonight, if Bo doesn't stretch that at bat out, then it's, like I said, a 9-10 pitch inning for Shohei, and he's off to the races. Instead, he works a walk. After that, Addison Barger able to get on as well. The Blue Jays have a mini rally going before Alejandro Kirk pops it up. So you get a bit of something going, but then the Dodgers are able to score in the top half of the first, and it's just this, here we go. All right. And then the moment that we called for this morning happened. The moment that this Blue Jays team desperately needed happened. And quite frankly, the moment that Vlad Guerrero Jr. needed happened. As Vlad comes up to the plate with a runner on in, what was that, the third inning of this game? I thought I had the line score here up. Yeah, the third inning. Vlad comes up with the runner on and gets a hanging breaking ball, and see ya. Just absolutely tattoos that ball out to left field and deposits it amongst Dodgers Nation and gives the Blue Jays a lead that they would not relinquish. And said in the pregame, I'm probably going to stop referencing that at some point, but I just nailed it today, so you know. But said in the pregame, Ohtani had his moment last night, earlier this morning, with 4 home runs, reaching base 9 times in a World Series game, setting a record not only for the World Series, but for any baseball game ever. That was the Dodgers star stepping up. And we have seen Vlad step up a number of times in this playoff, but not in the World Series yet. So he needed that moment. The Blue Jays needed him to have that, and he got it. Once again, the $500 million man in what I'm going to presume is the first billion-dollar matchup in World Series history, with Shohei's $700 million on the mound pitching to the $500 million of Vlad Guerrero Jr. Might come a little bit short of that with when Savage pitches again with his salary for most of the year at $57,000. But it's a star versus star matchup in a game where the Blue Jays needed the momentum to shift. You have your guy who is the main kind of firecracker for you in George Springer at the already on the bench. You need someone to step up, and Vlad steps up, and he comes up with the big hit at the big time when the Blue Jays needed it the most. Absolutely perfect timing for Vlad Guerrero Jr. to do that at that moment. It's a hanging breaking ball. talking with my dad right before coming on this stream, and it's like, you know what? He is human. And like I was saying, like, this dude's a one-of-a-kind unicorn. Well, that unicorn can also hang a breaking ball, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. can hit the piss out of it, and he hammered that thing out. But you could just see it was the spark that the Blue Jays needed. They all of a sudden settled right back in. We said on the show yesterday, or earlier today, that it felt like the Blue Jays were playing hero ball a little bit as the game went on into the early morning hours this morning, and getting some big hits and trying to get the big hit and all of that. It seemed like the team kind of forgot who they were. And all of a sudden, Tyler Heineman is up for the third time and he's trying to crank a dinger. And Ernie Clement is trying to crush the ball. It's like, that's not you guys. But it felt like everyone wanted to be the hero. And then everyone remembered who's wearing the Superman cape, and it's a home run jacket, and it's Vlad Guerrero Jr. going through and high-fiving everyone, and that gave the rest of the team the confidence to just kind of settle in to the role that they play. And the person who settled into that the most was Shane Bieber, who was excellent. We said that he needed to be more Game 3 Bieber than Game 7 Bieber. He was Game 3. It was absolute brilliance from the former Cy Young winner. And again, he's not overpowering. He's never going to be that guy. But the movement on that two-seamer that they were saying on the broadcast, he kind of used it as a bit of a changeup in this game. And there were some guys last night who were throwing 92-mile-an-hour changeups. But it was really effective to lefties tonight, where he would start it out of the zone. And it has the way the two-seamer kind of breaks, I guess arm side would be the way to describe it. Kind of has that little bit of a dive to it. And he was just pinpointing that thing on the inside part of the plate all game long. And it was so tough for the Dodgers to square anything up. And yeah, Ohtani got nothing from Bieber in this game. Walked in the first inning, and then Bieber was able to shut him down after that. He was great in all of it, right? Like we talked about it before. It's not just Ohtani. It's not just Betts, and it's not just Freeman. This is a complete lineup that the Dodgers have, and Bieber mowed them down. And importantly as well, he was able to give them length as Bieber goes six innings, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. Sorry, not 4 earned runs. That's the Ohtani line, sorry. He went 5 1/3, 4 hits, 1 run. It was earned, striking out 3, walking 3 as well. The walks were a little uncharacteristic, but I think he might have been just trying to be a little bit too cute in certain times in this game. But he was excellent. He was exactly what the Blue Jays needed. And then he gets lifted, and it's Mason Fluharty's time to shine. And he comes in and shuts the door. Immediately with a runner on, gets a fly out to center field, and then gets the strikeout to wrap it up. Huge. Absolutely huge. But the Vladdy home run settles everything in. Toxic back in the Twitch chat. Tonight was a typical Jays game. Get on base, and everyone doing their jobs. 100% accurate, Toxic. Couldn't have said it better myself. It was a do your job night. Bill Belichick is just smiling somewhere because he's 70 and he's dating a 24-year-old, but also because we just did a do your job thing. That is what championship teams stress. There's only one Vladdy on this team. So Ernie Clement, don't try to go out and be Vladdy. Just go out and make some good contact. He does that in the 7th inning, and that really sparks the rally and getting everything going from there, where he gets the extra base hit, they go deeper into the bullpen, and then the offense is able to step up with hit after hit after hit. And it's that quicksand that the Blue Jays can drag you into, where one hit all of a sudden turns into 2, turns into 4, and now you look up and it's no longer a game that's within striking distance, and there's still nobody out. And then Bo Bichette comes up with a big hit. Again, stretched to double into a single, but comes up with a big hit at a big time. And it's just put the ball in play, let things happen. Jimenez didn't need to hit it hard, put the ball in play, allowed the run to score. Almost got picked off at first on a laser beam hit to third, but he was great. Everyone did exactly what they needed to. Toxic. Couldn't have said it any better. And then, yeah, again, Toxic in the Twitch chat. How about Bassett in the bullpen? Nails. Absolute nails. I joked on Twitter that we were saying at the deadline that the Blue Jays needed to go out and get a leverage reliever. Who knew? It was under our nose the whole time. And it was Chris Bassitt, who, after getting one inning last night, and we talked about it, that's at the time that they pulled him, they didn't know the game was going to go another 10 innings, or they probably would try to stretch him out a couple more. But he gives you some length out of the bullpen tonight. Bassitt goes, let's see here, 2 innings, no runs, 1 hit, strikes out 2, didn't walk a soul. He was just fantastic. And I will admit, I didn't think the stuff would play as a reliever. I feel like this was, I felt like this was someone who, like, just had too many pitches. And okay, so it's great to mix and match and all that, but in the bullpen you really only need 2, maybe 3. And I don't think the whole, like, if, okay, well, I'm only going to throw 1 pitch an inning, let's see what happens. I don't think that's really necessarily the way that it works in the bullpen, but he made it work. I didn't think it would. Totally wrong on that. He was perfect. Nearly. Just gave up the 1 hit, but locating really well, excellent movement. No batter looked confident in what they were doing up at the plate. And I kind of wanted him to come back out for the 9th. Varland comes in and it gets a little dicey, but he was able to just absolutely slash and dash his way through and get the job done. Little sketchy there at the end. And I think we're at the point now of maybe overexposing Varland to the LA Dodgers. But yeah, toxic. Bassitt in the bullpen, chef's kiss. Mwah. Absolute perfection from Chris Bassitt in this game, and really put them in a spot to win this game and save the rest of the bullpen. Like, they do use Fluharty goes 2/3 of an inning to finish up the 6th, and then Bassitt goes the 7th and the 8th, Varland the 9th. Lauer was unavailable and is probably unavailable for tomorrow too. Like, he threw almost 70 pitches. That's a starter's workload. So I would imagine he's not pitching until this one heads back north of the border. But Dominguez wasn't used. And, like, to go on down the line of the guys that they didn't need to go to in the bullpen, because Bassitt was able to give you the length that they desperately needed after the way everything went. So now you go into game 5, everything is settled. You just have this, you have this big win after a devastating loss, but now the bullpen is set up. Hoffman didn't have to come into the game, warmed up, but didn't have to come into the game, so he's ready to go. Dominguez can go in leverage situations. Maybe Varland can again, who knows. Fluharty is probably available as well. You have your everything lined up now for the Blue Jays, and this was, game 1 was a statement. I think game 4 here was, honestly, felt like a statement as well, but it was more just a validation that, yeah, it's not just going to be one game where we mash a grand slam in Toronto. We are here because we deserve to be here. And they showed the Dodgers tonight. There was no question who the better team was in this game. It was the Blue Jays the entire way. The entire way that I got to see. We'll talk about that in a second. But it was the Blue Jays the whole way through. And this is now 2 games where they have looked like the better team. And the one that they didn't went a really long time, and it was their own kind of self-inflicted wounds that put them in a spot to have to win this game. But we've talked about it before. I think the Blue Jays are in an excellent spot right now. They don't have to win another game in LA. It would be nice if they did, but they don't have to win another game in LA. They can win the 2 in Toronto and be World Series champions. The Major League Baseball season is ending in Canada, with the Blue Jays having an opportunity to put it away. And you look at how the pitching matchups line up. Odds are it'll be Bieber if it goes to game 7, but for the next 2, it's Gausman, Yasavage in some order. That feels great with the 22-year-old wonder kid and your ace on the mound. And you are facing, coming up here now in game 5, Blake Snell, who again is awesome. Cannot stress that enough. Blake Snell is very good. But he is also, I think, the Blue Jays are a bad matchup for him because he likes to nibble. And I believe, I couldn't find a quote for you right now, but he does seem to have thank you, AJ Druid in the chat. Trey is pitching on Wednesday. Thank you. So yeah, it'll be you Savage and then Gosman and then probably Bieber for game 7 would be my guess. Yeah, that was great. That's great. It sets them up in a perfect way now, right? With you Savage for this next one, and then Gosman for game 6. Perfect. And now, like I said, against Snell, Blake Snell has said that he's not afraid to walk guys. And he is perfectly fine. Like, okay, I'll walk you. I know I have the stuff to get around it. But this Blue Jays team is just different. And they are very content being patient up the plate, waiting for a strike, and then pouncing on it. It is just a completely different animal than facing a Yankees team that's a three true outcomes team. Or a Phillies that can kind of be that as well, where they'll strike out a ton of times. This Blue Jays team isn't. And so when you are content to kind of nibble at the edges, and okay, if I walk a couple, I walk a couple, that's fine. Now, the Yankees and Phillies can make you pay in their own way, obviously. But this Blue Jays team, you do that, and you saw in the 7th inning tonight how one base runner, all of a sudden then Ernie Clement gets a pitch up in the zone, and he whacks it off of the wall in left center field, and the Blue Jays are able to extend their lead and extend, and there they go. I think the Jays are a bad matchup for Blake Snell. AJ Druid again in the chat. Snell will get knocked around by the Jays again. I think it's a possibility. And then Toronto has 2 cracks at it at home to wrap up the World Series. I fear Yamamoto, and I think that's a healthy fear. I think that's an earned concern that I would have with Yoshinobu Yamamoto after what he did in Game 2. He would be the Game 6 starter for the Dodgers. But then in Game 7, it's Glass now again, I would assume. Or I guess Ohtani, it could be. But it is... Again, we saw with Ohtani, like he pitched well, the Jays can get to him. And Glasnow, again, it's a bad matchup. So I do think how this series shakes out now is in a good spot for the Blue Jays. The Dodgers are still an excellent team. It is not going to be easy because nothing ever is with this ball club. But the Jays are in a really good spot. We got Tall John in the chat, along with AJ Druid and Matt B in YYC. Sorry. I've probably made that mistake a number of times, Matt. Sorry about that. But Tall John, let's freaking go. I don't wish to trash one Blue Jay, but if I don't have to see Little again, that would be okay. Yes, I agree. While I feel for the man who had to go out and be cannon fodder in the 18th inning to Freddie Freeman, let's not, okay? Or let's go up by 15 in game number 5 and let Little come in and just pitch to his heart's content. 6 innings for all I care. Then and only then would I feel comfortable with that, but that is fair. But the rest of the bullpen is set up in a pretty good way. And Matt B, let's go Angels. Huzzah. Look, Angels, Mike Trout, he's fun. And the Angels have an all-time, you kind of had to be there thing with the rally monkey, that if you try to explain that to someone who wasn't watching the World Series in 2002, you sound like you were on every hallucinogenic drug in the history of the world, saying, oh yeah, no, the Angels would just put a dancing monkey up on the thing, and then they would score a bunch of runs because the place would go insane, and they were the first ones to blow up balloons and just hit them together and make a lot of noise, so... They were fun. So I always have a bit of a soft spot for the Angels after that World Series against Barry Bonds. Little is Jekyll and Hyde. I can do without. The thing with Little is that it's not just that he's Jekyll and Hyde, but he's always whichever one of those is the bad one, and he just gets away with it sometimes. Like, it's not like he comes out and is dominant and then sometimes he's not. He is perpetually missing the strike zone. But sometimes teams will bail him out by chasing it, and sometimes they won't. And sometimes they will make him pay dearly when he finally figures out that there's a strike zone there. So, hey, let's try to put it into the middle of it, and then kaboom. But sometimes they won't. So I have felt, and now we're being needlessly negative at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday after a Blue Jays win, but I have felt that Little, anytime for the most part, anytime that he had success, it was because the other team missed. It wasn't anything he did. And I don't want to have to deal with that with the Dodgers in the World Series. So yes, I would rather not. But AJ Druid, another big part of this, the LA bullpen is sus, 100%. And you see it again tonight. The Blue Jays couldn't take advantage of it in game number 3 for 12 bloody innings. But tonight, Banda comes in, 1 hit, 2 earned runs, 2/3 of an inning. Blake Trinan comes in, pitches 1/3 of an inning, gives up 2 hits. A couple of those drove in the runs that Banda was responsible for. And then that Dreyer fellow came in and struck out 3, a couple hits in 2 innings. But you can get to this bullpen. Basically, with the exception of Roki Sasaki, I feel very good about any matchup that the Blue Jays have with these guys. And aside from apparently Will Klein, who is Sandy Koufax, that sucked. But I, like, Banda, as soon as I saw him warming up, we all have to admit as Blue Jay fans, there was a bit of a, yes, when you see him come into the game. And then Trinan, I do not fear him at this point in his career. Sasaki is the only one that comes out of that bullpen that I have a bit of a, about. The rest of them, bring it on. I have no problem with them at all. So yeah, AJ Druid, again, this is another, and the other part of it is that they've now seen Banda 3 times in this series, and he's their go-to guy. And we saw that in the Mariners series. The more, and that's why I'm worried about Varland, but the more you see these kind of innings eater guys, the less effective they get. And it really kind of, I had a light bulb. I think it was Trevor May, who does a lot of good stuff on, it was either him or Plouffe, one of those 2 guys who do a lot of stuff on social media. They brought up that one of them was 4 things that don't work in the playoffs that do in the regular season. And one of them is innings eating relievers, because you get used to, okay, and we'll let him go out there and just bridge the gap. Well, that works in the regular season when it's 1 game against Seattle and then they're taking on the Angels and now they're taking on the Yankees, and these teams don't get a chance to see them all that often. But when you're playing the Blue Jays and then you're playing the Blue Jays and then you're playing Toronto and then it's the Blue Jays, eventually that picks up. And we saw that with Seattle. Took till game 7, but Bizzardo was the innings eater for the Mariners. He was the volume guy who would come in and just kind of stop the bleeding or just keep moving the baton, keep it between the white lines and keep it going in the right direction. So I think that anytime Banda comes in, it's going to be a good thing for the Jays. They have seen him, they are hitting him, and Bizzardo, they saw him, they got to him a little bit, and then George Springer hits the second biggest home run in Blue Jays history off of him and sends the Jays to the World Series. I think Banda could be that same thing. And then Trinan comes in. Vlad's already hit a home run off of him this year, and the Blue Jays got to him again in this game and hit him pretty hard. They have seen a lot of these guys now, and they have been able to, I would say, mission accomplished with the bullpen in 3 of the 4 games. Obviously, game 3, they got to it a lot based on how that game went, and then they didn't have a lot of success. But game 1, they got to the bullpen, hit the tar out of it. Game 2, Yamamoto didn't give him a chance. Game 3, they saw a lot of the bullpen. Game 4, Shohei goes 6, and then they need 3 relievers to piece together the last 3 innings of this ball game. Toronto has been able to execute their game plan, I think, better than the Dodgers have been able to so far in this series, even though we are now tied at 2 games apiece. Tall John, Little having the ball in his hand is a pitch-by-pitch, anxiety-filled inning or more. Oh, yeah. There is no comfort when he is on the mound. There is no, okay, I can settle in. Even Paez was at the place. Oh, don't let him get started now because of it. And again, I feel bad for the dude because he was. My frustrations with his lack of accuracy aside, he did get some big outs for this team throughout the season. It's just he gave up a really bad home run at a time where maybe he shouldn't have been in to begin with. And then the next time he comes in, he gives up another big home run. I feel bad for the guy, but also, again, Don Draper meme, that's what the money's for. You kind of face this criticism from dudes on the internet. So, yeah, Deeds saying you can be comfortable with the fact you're not going to be comfortable. That's the thing. It's not just like, oh, we got this ace guy coming in. Oh, man, they got to him. You're aware. that it's going to be a roller coaster ride when Little comes in, so that there's at least a little bit of that. AJ Druid, I found the umps are calling strikes on the outside part of the plate a lot. This is another one, and I don't know if my dad is still watching, but he pointed it out to me in the American League Championship Series. You watch a lot of the umpires now, and I wish I had a screenshot I could use of it, but they, like, Kirk will set up behind home plate, and instead of setting up, like, down the middle like the umpire should, so you can see everything equidistant and all that, he will set up either in the gap between Kirk and the hitter or to the outside of him. But either way, he's kind of staggered from where Kirk is. And then you will notice a lot of times, if he's on the inside part of the plate, they're missing calls on the outside. Because how couldn't you? You are trying to see through a rock of a human on the other side. And like you can still see over because Kirk is 3 feet tall, but there is still a bit of guessing that has to go on when you're looking at it a little bit diagonally. And also, like, we can see because of how the camera is situated, it's not just dead on. It would look weird if it was dead on, right? It is off a little bit to the angle so you can see everything. And even just that little tilt puts your perspective off a little bit. The umpires are setting up in a way where they are kind of just guessing because of where their perspective is, and that's leading to a lot of stuff on the outside part of the plate being guessed at. It's leading to a lot of stuff low in the zone getting guessed at as well. And so I just feel like it is just poor umpiring technique that is leading to some of these issues. Also, and I cannot stress this part enough, they also suck. So there's that, too. Like, they have done a horrendous job. I said Game 3 was one of the worst officiated games in any championship-level thing I have ever seen. And that is including, like, provincial baseball things I played in when I was a kid. Like, it's been bad. And this one tonight, it wasn't as bad, but there were a couple that was like, oh, that at bat to Ohtani, where it was, like, a full baseball and a half outside of the strike zone, and they called it a strike. And then the next one was comfortably nestled inside the warm, welcoming walls of the strike zone. And the ump called it a ball to make up for it. You kind of knew at that point, like, okay, we're in for something here today. That was rough. AJ Druid again. A lot of managers have said the same thing about baseball analytics in the playoffs. You wear out your bullpen a lot. Yeah, and that's like, you bring in Shane Bieber and Kevin Gausman and Max Scherzer, to a certain degree, to pitch late into ball games. If the goal is to get to the 4th or 5th inning, you can get anyone to do that, right? Like, go out and trade for Heaney. Go out and trade for whoever, random middle rotation guy X, you know? Like, to you old Blue Jays example, go get your Josh Towers of 2025 to just go eat a couple innings and then get to the bullpen. That's cool if you do it once. But then you see a reliever for a second, a third time in a row. And now all of a sudden, Shohei Ohtani, this baseball robot, now has downloaded all of this information, and now he'll hit it 469 feet. And now your game plan goes out the window. You give up the prospects you did for Bieber so he can pitch into the 6th inning. You give up the money that you did to bring in Kevin Gausman so that he can pitch into the 7th inning of the biggest game of your season. Now, it turned out that wasn't halfway through, but still, you get those guys to pitch these big innings. So I understand 3 times through the order and all of that, but those numbers, I do think, and every pitcher does get a little worse. First time, second time, third time. That is fair. But I do think a lot of that is skewed. Like, for Kevin Gausman to go once through the order, twice through the order, 3 times through the order is different than Bowden Francis going once, twice, 3 times. So if you just look, and I know they're looking at each individual as well, but if you just look at the overall stats of, well, this is how pitchers do first time, this is how they do second time, this is how they do third time, oh, third time is bad. Well, yeah, third time is bad, but we're also factoring in the 5th starter for the Rockies who has an ERA of his age. So maybe these numbers are a little bit off. You have those big name pitchers for this reason, this time of year, to go through that and to get you to the 6th so that your lefty, who would have been a loogie a few years ago, is now coming in and shutting the door for a couple of outs, and you can hand it off to a bulk guy to get you the rest of the way. Like, I am happy that this series has kind of shown that this is kind of how it's supposed to be managed. And they have, both sides, really, I guess that the Dodgers haven't really extended a whole lot, but when they haven't, it's been because the Blue Jays have not let them. But both managers, I think, have done a decent job. Schneider's had to learn it, but a decent job of letting their starters go a little bit later in these games so you don't overexpose your bullpen that much more. So now it's going to be interesting. Game 5, you Savage on the hill. We'll see about George Springer and what he is dealing with. They said he was hour to hour, which is a really nice way of saying we're not starting him, but he could come in and pinch hit at some point. I would be surprised if he starts tomorrow. Again, no information on it at all. I would be surprised if he did that. Just based off of how uncomfortable he looked, and it's day after day after day. And because if it was 3-1, he'd probably be in there. But at 2-2, not that you can give a game away or anything, but you have this, if you can buy him some time tomorrow, and then you have the off day going into the game on Halloween, it makes life a little bit easier and just gives him a little bit more time to rest and get settled in that sense. The last thing, it was very frustrating tonight. I'm watching, and the Jays are putting a rally together in the 7th inning, and then all of a sudden, we apologize for the inconvenience, but your stream has been interrupted. Please refresh and try again. And I did, and then I got 504 gateway error. Cool. Great. Wasn't watching at all. And then, okay, refresh. Hey, game's back on. Looks like it's gone well. My dad called and told me that they got another run, so it's 4-1. That's awesome. And we're gone again. Tried it one more time. Hey, now Bo's on first, and now it's 5-1. And we're gone again. Toxic saying I watched it on cable. Fantastic. I'm very happy that the cable part didn't crap out the way that it did online. We're cord cutters here, so cable is not an option for me. And this is a billion-dollar telecom company, so it should be a reliable option. And I don't care that the Frozen Frenzy thing was going on tonight, and it was the World Series, so maybe it would have been system overload. You don't get to cry, oh, did too many people, when you are charging those people for this service. It is not the best at the best of times, and it's very frustrating when, like, you can tout all the numbers. We're seeing the most watched game in Canadian baseball history, and this, that, and the other thing. You don't get to brag about all the numbers that you got and then be surprised when you get all the numbers. And to Toxic's point, you also made it more expensive, while not giving us anything extra in return for that, right? Like, at least sometimes with Netflix or whatever, like, there'll be a price hike, but there's new stuff coming on all the time. With this, it's okay. It's a price hike, and then nothing. Everything's the same. Sorry, it's funny. A little ironic, AJ Druid, that I'm ranting about a telecom company and how bad their service was, and then I'm hitting you with ads. So sorry about that, but I need the ad stuff more than Sportsnet does, I'll tell you that. But I don't think the stream is crapped out tonight, so we got them on that one. It's frustrating. Glad you're back. Okay, good. It's so frustrating. And to Toxic's point, you're right. You can't raise the prices on this stuff and then have it fail at the biggest time for your viewers. And, like, the problem is, where else are we going to go? You know, like, it's not quite a monopoly. But it's like, it's so frustrating to have this. And the service hasn't always lived up to what it would be, and they continue to raise up the prices, but they have the NHL and they have the World Series. And so that's tough. I will say, at some point, after the third refresh, I was done and had to find alternative means here. But so, and honestly, might be the way I go for the rest of this series, because it's bad. And also, I'm watching online. I can't talk with my parents about it because they're a minute ahead of me. I can understand a bit of a lag. I will accept that. But I am like full batters behind when trying to talk to them watching on cable. And like it does feel very much like they are doing the bare minimum on it to try to push you to just having Rogers cable instead. Like that's what it feels like, honestly. And so to have this go down in this way in this game was so frustrating. And yeah, Tall John, where was it? Lots of people, Sportsnet Plus timed out last night after on the same channel too long. Probably a built-in sleep safety feature. Yes, that was me. I tweeted it out. They had a thing, are you still watching? And because Sportsnet Plus is not compatible with Roku because we're using some long lost technology here. And the casting with the Apple Play sucks. So I just had the laptop hooked up HDMI to the TV, and I had to, in the 15th inning, had to scramble off my couch and dive over to the TV stand because my laptop was there. I was like, yes, I'm still here. I'm still here. Hi, hello. Yeah, I'm Tom Hanks in Castaway, which is sometimes how it feels watching this stuff. It's just, ugh. It's so annoying and it's so frustrating. And again, you don't get to tout how many people are watching and then get surprised when that many people watch again. It's awful. And again, like I don't think you can stream to like the highest of capabilities on the Sportsnet app on Apple TV. And you can't even get it on Roku. It is so insane to me that this is where we are at. And look, the other dude, I don't know why I'm protecting TSN. TSN's ain't a whole lot better either. Like all of them suck with Chromecast. We tried that for a while and now just went to the Roku, and at least there's a TSN app on there, but it's not great either. I've thought about that, Tall John, going the Amazon Prime route and going through it with Sportsnet on that to try to be able to watch it on there in some way. But no, it's not a great spot that we are in right now. And look, they've done some great stuff. Like to be able to have the Blue Jays broadcast the whole time has been awesome. I am beyond excited that Jamie Campbell gets to be a part of this, given everything he's gone through in his life and the obvious passion he has for the sport. I think Joe Siddle is awesome. The girl on there, I forget her name right now, but she's great too. And then like Dan Schulman and Buck Martinez are one of one when it comes to broadcast booths in baseball and in sports. So like good on them. They've done a lot of things right here today in this run with the Blue Jays. Madison Shipman, thank you. Yes, thank you. Druid and Toxic. She's been awesome. She's really great. You can see that they go to her after the game and she has like 4 different color highlighters on and her scorebook in front of her. Excellent job. They've done really good with that and with her. So yeah, she's been excellent. The whole broadcast has been really good. Also, it's funny that my Rogers internet is starting to have some problems now too. But so yeah, credit where credit is due. Sportsnet has done a very good job throughout this postseason. And they do a very good job on a lot of different things as well. And again, full disclosure, like I do freelance work with them. But I also had a couple people tonight reach out and be like, hey, maybe don't tweet that out about the Sportsnet thing. Not a higher up or anything like that, or even a middle up. Don't worry about it. But some people saying like, oh, calling out whatever. I was like, they know they're fucking up. Like, it's not like they see their entire internet thing just go whomp in one night and have all of these people on social media talking about them. And then they go home at night and be like, you know what? Killed it tonight. They have to know they're fucking up, so it's fine if I point out they're fucking up. Also, the freelance agreement that I've signed with them is makes it very obvious I'm not an employee of them, so I can say what I want. But no, like it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to have something like that happen in the World Series. And at this great moment for this sport in this country, to not be able to use a pretty basic part of the thing that they offer is infuriating. And so luckily, the game was not in hand, but it's not like I missed the Vladdy home run or anything, but I did miss half of the runs that were scored in this game today. And so that's frustrating. So hopefully the Sportsnet stream works tomorrow. And hopefully the Blue Jays can continue this role that they are on now. That's going to do it for this evening. Yeah, we need Cam Hughes at the Sky Dome this weekend. Also a classmate of yours. Oh, nice. Tell John with a shout out to Arash. I miss Arash Madani. Personal reason, classmate of mine. Definitely need Cam Hughes down there at the Sky Dome running the board and everything, making sure everything is working just fine down there. But hopefully it all works out. But this was so much fun to have this Blue Jays team bounce back in this way and have Vladdy bounce back in this way.